Welcome back. It's on to the Breakfast Show on TSL Nigeria TV. Now, a little over a week ago, social media and basically the entirety of Nigeria was thrown into a certain kind of pandemonium. We were all faced with a picture of a young lady identified simply as Adewura. Apparently, she was returning, she went to work and she never got home. For a long period of time, a lot of people joined in, even a former Big Brother Nigerian star, Anto, called the girl her twin, saying that they met some point and they built a friendship. And a lot of more influential Nigerians continue to put up pictures of this young lady, telling anyone and asking anyone if they could provide the whereabouts of this girl. Now, barely 2 days ago, we were told that the body of this young lady was found. Apparently, she had fallen into a manhole that was left open by some construction workers and into a canal, and that is how she lost her life. And it just made us really reflect on several other instances when a person's life was lost for a seemingly unavoidable problem. And it just makes us beg the question, is there any value to the Nigerian life? Ladies, good morning.
Good morning.
Now, this situation is something that just threw me off balance because so many things happened in the process of the situation. Now, I won't say I'm vocal on social media, but I'm very involved. I try to be as involved as possible. And for some reason, I almost tried to turn a blind eye to the situation because it was something that I knew that I was helpless in any way whatsoever because one, I'm horrible with faces, so if she had passed me, I wouldn't have known her. Two, for the fact that the family seemed so helpless that nobody could help them at that time. And so whenever I saw the picture, I tried to not focus so much. But then there wasn't much you could do. Because when you're scrolling down your timeline, every 3 or 4 posts, you see a picture of Adewura. And then to find out that she had died for somebody just ignoring their job.
Okay.
Extremely unavoidable. And there was something even more worse than this I'm saying. While she was missing, somebody came up on social media and said that he knew where she was. Wow. And he was willing to give the address. And allegedly he was paid for the address and it was a fraud.
Wow. So
imagine a family in pain.
And then someone takes advantage.
And somebody takes advantage of that situation to defraud the people. And it just keeps going worse and worse and worse. And it just made me look back at how many tragedies we have had in barely 2 years that it made it seem like a Nigerian life worth nothing. If you guys can remember, there was the man that was shot by an immigration officer for 5K or
5K
bribe or something like that. Not too long ago, we were all complaining about Kolade Johnson that was killed by a policeman when he was going to watch at a viewing center watch a match.
Just like that.
Just last year, a tanker exploded in Lagos. So many lives were lost, properties, we all came out, we all shouted, we did everything that we had to do, and then we have moved on. Borno, Zamfara, all these northern states, scores of lives are lost every other day. That it doesn't even make the news anymore. It's so casual.
It's like
it
it's
doesn't
normal.
even make the
It's a
news
normal thing.
anymore.
I think I would like to come in and say that I feel that one of the things that's happening, let's start with the people involved. Now, I think it's a cultural thing. We as Nigerians have a perspective to things. We do not value human life. We do not put utmost value to the human life. Now, what happens is you take a look at this story. Let's come to the story. Now, I went through the story and I found out that she got into a bike and the guy saw flood and decided to keep advancing.
According to onlookers, he was told not to pass it.
Do you understand? He kept advancing. Like, weren't you even thinking about your life? Were you not thinking about the person you were carrying? Did you not think? And then when the incident happens, there was no attempt from his part to try and find how to save the girl. He just saved his bike and himself. And it's crazy because it's a mindset. It's people who have a mindset that I should think of myself first, and whatever happens to the next person is not my business. I feel that if individuals can be more concerned about what goes on around them, because before we want to bring in the government and all the other rest, I feel that we are dealing with human beings. We're dealing with people who understand that they should give certain attention to the human life. We should give more attention to the human life. We should give more attention as to what is right and what is wrong. Now, you see someone going through something, we tend to do it and we just say, that's not my business because this is not me. It's not happening to me. Until it comes close home, you don't feel like, wow, I could have done something the other day when I saw it. So it affects you personally. Nobody's making an attempt. So what I believe is that we need to make deliberate mindset change. Nigerians need to be more deliberate and value their fellow human life, because even if individuals make the government, the people who had a particular mindset jumped in the government and became these people. So
I think in this country we have gotten accustomed to ancestry dates. That one more is doesn't
just another thing that happened. Just another story.
I mean, there was a year when I was in school. Back then, when I was in school, something actually happened. So a lady came out the morning at 5 o'clock, and then she started screaming for help. We didn't care to know what happened. We started locking their doors. Nobody wanted to go out. Yes, started locking their. Nobody wanted to go out and ask what happened. Actually, we got to know that it was not even an armed robbery case, just the snake that she saw. That was actually screaming for help. So I feel in this country we no longer human lives are, we don't longer value human lives. Like when we talk about suicide, when people want to commit suicide, say people. There was a case I saw on social media. I don't want to call the actress name. Somebody came out and was like, she was depressed. And the answer the actress actually gets to that young lady was not encouraging, just a kind of a mockery. So I feel in Nigeria we so used to death that it's now become, when it just happens, we say, oh, thank God it's not me, and we're just okay with it. We are not okay with the fact that when this happens, it's not us, then we don't bother to, how would I say, look for help, or we just see it as something that is normal.
Yeah.
I don't know if you get what I'm trying
I
to say.
absolutely understand what you're trying to say. I was reading an article and I saw something that really just screamed at me. Now, the man said that he was on the road and there was an ambulance clearly, carrying injured people. And the ambulance was blaring the siren and nobody moved from the road. Everybody just continued what they were doing. And then he said that he just reminded him of a day that he saw a police van blowing the exact same siren and everyone was clearing the road. So what you're telling me is that a policeman that he's been going somewhere so important, he just doesn't want to be stuck in traffic. And you leaving the road for him, but you are aware that this is an ambulance, a life is at stake at this very moment. It doesn't bother you. I saw a story of a man that apparently had an accident and he was lying on the road bleeding and people came and robbed him.
Yes.
And then he bled to death.
I think in this country, value property is more than human life.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying.
When somebody is involved in an accident, the first thing you notice is that the person's goods have been stolen.
Exactly. You don't actually see. And then this whole social media thing. People see people dying, and the first thing they actually do is bring out their phones and they want to make videos. I mean, you see someone dying, help first. Do videos later, say something later. Don't put up videos and then I feel like it's mockery. I feel like you could do so much more than you're actually doing. Do you get? And then if people could just place more value, that's why I keep saying it's a mindset. I would walk somewhere, I see a child and I'm wondering, I'm actually observing to see if there's a parent around, because many times what happens is that you see a child walking into the road, an accident is about to happen, and when it actually mistakenly happens, the first thing people say is, where's the mother? But you saw the child walking towards the road. You could have done something about it. You could have, just say, leave there, or carry the child and ask, whose child is this? But we just have, like she said, we just see things and we just say, oh, let's leave it like that. Does not concern me. It's not my
somebody threw something while others what happened in social media. Somebody said something that really caught my attention. Now, he said that the reason why Nigerians seem to not value human lives is because they're so afraid of being protected. Now, he said that, for example, you see an accident on the road, you see a person bleeding out, and you want to take the person to the hospital, but then you're afraid that when you get there, they'll first of all ask you, what happened? Where is the police report?
Yes.
And on the odds that the person dies, you get arrested. You, the Samaritan, is the person who's going to take the responsibility. And for that reason, everyone just believes that I don't need that problem right now. That even when you go to the police station, because you're the last person that saw this person alive, you're going to have to be the one to bear the brunt of the responsibilities. And just people do not want those problems. So why are we in a country that this situation is what is going on?
Because I feel like we have policies that are not implemented, and that's one. Two, we have people who just have a general notion of things, like they live by default. Now, when things like accidents happen and you help someone, I think proper investigations should be done, not conclusions that are being made. I feel that you find out, you have to find out the circumstances around why someone brought this person to the hospital, so people are not afraid for their life. Because in Nigeria, we tend to just overdo things. Now, I would find someone on the road and I help the person. I don't want to start feeling bad that I actually helped the person. Do you understand? So I think policies should be adjusted, and then you shouldn't be put in a situation where you don't know how to value human life. The first thing that an accident scene in certain places in the world is to help first and ask questions later, because that person's life is more important. I'm going to bring a story now. Something happened in a lab in the UK. A friend of mine, she said she walked into the lab. Now, there was a fire incident, a very small fire incident. And you know, in Nigeria, when you see small fire incident, you just quench it now, you know, quick, sharp, let's just run this quick. But what happened was, when they came back the next day, the camera caught it, and then they called a general meeting for all the students and told them that he should have left the building. Even if it meant the building was to burn down, his life was, for first of all, the utmost priority. So he wasn't supposed to try to quench the fire. Now, that is how much value that is placed on the human life. Now, in Nigeria, they would have just patted your back and told you did well, not thinking that anything could have happened and it could have escalated to something else. Now, the value for property in Nigeria, it's more important to individuals rather than the value for human life. I feel it's just for us. You break a plate at home, the plate is more important.
How did you break the plate?
The thing is that in most developed and standard organizations, they have things put in place for that situation. Now, that building that told the children that, you know, your life is more important, leave the building, let it burn. That building has fire insurance. How many buildings can we say are insured in this country?
Okay.
Even your car that is insured, do you know the battle you have to go through to even get your insurance company would even find a way to wiggle out of it.
Yeah,
if
make sure they don't pay
that they don't pay anything. Now, coming back to the value that institutions put into human life, let's use Nigeria for an example.
Yeah.
Now, a Nigerian woman was beheaded at some point for drugs in I think it was Saudi Arabia or one of those countries that are very strict against drug pushing in their country, and she was a Nigerian. Now, one of our, I'm too offended to call her name. What she did, she came out and said that we should be very careful about the way that we are behaving. People are seeing us outside somehow. Now, this is a person that has the constitutional rights, the job to protect the identity of Nigerians. No matter what your citizen has done, you do not join the extra country outside to castigate your citizen. What you do is you find a way to bring them home and prosecute them yourselves. Now, while Nigerians were complaining about that situation that played, we saw something else that played, where two people that were seen as reasonably elite people were caught for the same thing, drugs, and successfully, somehow, the government found a way to bring these people back to Nigeria. Of course, there was uproar on social media, and they began asking, is it only the elites that is going to be protected by the government?
What about the
other people? So are we in a space where if you're not elite, your life does not matter?
I think it's yes, it has gotten to that point in Nigeria where if you don't have money, to an extent, your life no longer matter. Let's talk about the jungle justice. Like people who you're not even sure if they stole. Like I saw something on social media a time ago where a young man who was innocent was burnt alive just because they felt it took something.
Yeah.
Without even waiting for this guy to explain himself, it was killed.
And
then we find out that our politicians who even still like more who was supposed to go to jail, they don't even end up going to prison. They are just set free. Like let me just talk about what happened in Edo State, where a certain governor was alleged to have stolen money, and yet after his tenure, he just gave 3 million back to the government, and that was all. Okay. And then a young man who you didn't even allow explain
something
himself,
so small.
something too small, like it's just burnt alive. So I feel we're at that point in this country. If you don't
Can
have
buy your
money, yes, you're not considered important. So life does not have any value.
Now, speaking of jungle justice, now there was a conversation that I had some time back in the day when I was still doing some job on the radio, and we discussed about jungle justice, and all of the callers that did call in on the show that day said that they were fully in support of jungle justice. And I was like, why would you be in support of mindlessly killing a person without any sort of trial? And they said, because we're in a country where if you go to the police, first of all, you could be asked to open case file with your money. Yes. And then, if you had to ask them to drive down to where it's happening, they might ask you to buy fuel. And if that is not bad enough, if they have to do a follow-up, you might have to buy airtime. And then if the person has 10,000 naira in their pockets, they will just pay for bail and the person will move on. And so they're like, when you've been attacked by these bandits and you've lost something or someone so close to you, you get so emotional and you're afraid that if you go to the appropriate authorities, the person is going to get away with it. So you'd rather just take the laws into your own hands. How are we going to help ourselves in this kind of situation?
Like, I'm a first-hand victim of that. When I was in school, somebody actually attacked me.
Okay.
And so I went to the police to report. And when I reported, I had to pay for transport to take them to my place to see the guy. I had to, when we were going back, I had to pay for transport for them to go back. And I have to open the case. I got tired. I actually left the case hanging. It was pretty much exhausting and money consuming. I didn't plan for all that. And so I eventually let the case go like that.
Okay.
So at a point I felt so bad because I didn't get justice for what really happens to me. Why the person was just the person was going around freely. I wasn't able to do anything because I was not having the cash to further the investigation. So I feel the government will have to look into that because nowadays our security agents are doing nothing to protect us. Let's talk about the election that just happened. We saw how violence everywhere, how lives were lost. And majority of the security personnel were just, whether they were dead, they were not even doing anything to help the citizens who actually came to vote. Some even ran away or their duty posts, and some were just there doing nothing to help control the violence. I feel the government should look into the security agent because now in this country, I feel it's better I do my stuff myself than for me to go to the security agent.
So because of the I'm going to read a comment now from someone. He says he's watching live from Enugu. Nice show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for watching.
And then I want to say something about the security in Nigeria. Now, one of the issues I feel we are having is that because certain policies have not been set in place for us to actually have what we need. Many times people don't respond the way they should respond. A regular policeman, I almost want to ask if there are not things put in place for them to actually go through with investigations.
I think it is because these people don't have consequences for their action. Let's look back to Kolade Johnson's situation. Nigeria was almost set ablaze when that young man was killed, and then the policemen were arraigned. But have you heard anything about that case till now? I mean, we are all following Naira Marley's case right now. We all know what is happening. We know the day he was arraigned. We know when next he's going to be in court. We know when his bail hearing is going to be heard. And I'm excited. They're doing their job. But why do we not have the exact same energy for every other person? And then we've spoken about the government ignoring the value for human lives. Let's go down to some parastatals that I just find somehow weird. For example, you could be on the road and any soldier can assault you.
Yeah.
Is there somewhere in the Nigerian constitution that says that you can't be assaulted by a person wearing a uniform for any reason?
I believe that we actually have somewhere in the constitution where we actually have rights to our human life and freedom. We actually have those rights. I don't believe that our security agents who are meant to protect us should attack us. I don't think that's something.
For somebody like me, like let's say I'm entering public transport, I'm on the road. When I see a uniformed member of the army, I am afraid. Is that how I'm supposed to feel? You're a young man, you just bought a car, you're driving on the road, and if you see a policeman, you're afraid. Are you supposed to be afraid of the person that's supposed to protect you? You're a young lady, you're walking down the streets at night, you see a policeman, you're afraid.
Yes.
At what point, what can we do at this point? Is there something that can be done? Do we have to create a citizens police and especially in a place where you can, you can take laws into your own hands and you can protect yourselves, since these people are unwilling to protect you. Because in this country, almost anything can kill you. You're on a bike, you fall in a canal, you're dead. Let's say it's raining, a live wire could fall into a puddle. You step in it,
something
you're
can go
dead.
wrong. Yes.
You could be in traffic in broad daylight
and be robbed.
And you will be robbed. My friend's cousin died in traffic. He was robbed in traffic and he was shot in traffic in broad daylight.
Oh my God.
Traffic, hold up. Not people were around. There were cars at the side, there were cars in front, there were cars behind.
And nobody did anything.
Nobody did anything, and they were done and they walked away casually and nothing happened. Kaduna Abuja Expressway, we've all heard the news that it has been constantly attacked by bandits, that people are even too afraid to take the road now. People are trying to use the train because it's safer and stuff like that. Nothing is being done about it. Every other day, you just hear 45 people killed by this, so many people killed by headsmen. Boko Haram laid siege. Just this past week, there was a report that 25 Nigerian soldiers were killed by Boko Haram, and I haven't heard any message from the government. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not true.
So, I would like to come in and say, moving forward, because these are things that are happening in our present day country, what I believe can be done. Now, one of the responsibilities of our government is to protect the human life, to protect the citizens of its states. Now, policies are not, I don't think policies are there. I believe there are things that have been set so that these things can actually happen. But what actually happens many times is that they are not implemented. You don't have people who are willing to go through with it. You're supposed to go to the police station and they're supposed to pull through with an investigation for you, but you have it the other way around. You have them saying that this is what should be done. You know, you want to bribe your way through. You want to pay for this and pay for that for an investigation that the police is supposed to take responsibility for, or whatsoever security agency you walk into. They want to find a way to, tell you have to pay for this and that. They don't have fuel for gen, so they have to you have to buy fuel in the gen. I have seen such things like that. You walk into a government parastatal and they are supposed to actually have funds to do this thing, because I do not believe that funds are not being released for these things. Funds are being released for these things. What is happening to the funds? It means we have people in the system that are corrupt, that are taking advantage and using it to their satisfaction. And then I don't believe that everybody in the security in the security agencies are all terrible people. I'm sure there are a few good people, but they're being silenced because they cannot actually express themselves and do what they need to do, because there are certain people there who are probably stronger or have higher positions than them at calling the shots. Now, you don't expect that same person to now tell you, because sometimes these people will take time and explain to you that it's not their fault. It's not like they're not willing to, step out and do something.
But the powers that be.
But the powers that be are being, these things are being manipulated up above. So they don't want to lose their jobs. This is like their daily mates. This is something that gives them daily bread. So they want to be able to not do something that will make something else worse on their side. So in Nigeria, we're basically focusing on ourselves because of the system we have around us. What is the way forward? I believe the way forward is for us to, as individuals, grow. Change our mindset. Let us do something let us think of ourselves. Let us help our next person. The next time you see something happening that's going wrong, try to do something about it. Don't just feel like, okay, I don't want to get into trouble, because whether you like it or not, there's trouble brewing somewhere that's about to actually happen. So I feel that the way forward for us as Nigerians is, as much as we want to have government policies, let us do something about it as individuals, and then by the time individuals start to make attempts to do stuff, I believe that government policies will be implemented.
Okay, for me, I think the way forward is that Nigerians should first teach themselves the sanctity of life, that the dispute between land is not enough reason for us to kill ourselves, that because someone is alleged to have stolen doesn't mean it should immediately be burned down, that when we get off, when it comes to the elections, we shouldn't fight, we shouldn't kill ourselves over people that don't even know if we exist. So I think we should teach ourselves the sanctity of life first, that there is value in the human life, that life is worth living. It's not just something you can just terminate at any time. So I feel we should teach ourselves the value of life first.
All right. So it's been a very exciting show this morning. Do we actually value the Nigerian life? What do you think about this? Leave your comments. Let us know what you think. Join the conversation. And you know that we are building our YouTube channels, and we want you to subscribe, watch videos on our YouTube channels, and also go on all our social media platforms and follow us. And to follow us on our YouTube channel, do subscribe on TSL Nigeria TV and let us know what you think. It's been an exciting show, ladies. It's been very exciting having you on set. Good morning. I'm Adriel Omogede, and
I'm Joanne Gigbefoy.
And I'm Joy Strokes.
good morning. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye for now.